All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to reduce stress, burn stubborn fat, and get your body working with you instead of against you. On this podcast, we're all about simple, no BS strategies for fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. This way, you can feel strong, confident, and in control. I'll give you the tools, mindset shifts, and habits to help you look and feel your best without spending hours in the gym or stressing over every single meal. Now, let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. And this week is going to be pretty quick. It's not going to be too lengthy because it's just me. And I wanted to talk about a topic that might sting a little bit, right? But it's coming from love. This all popped up because I was listening to a podcast or I saw a post and they were talking all about your calendar and your bank statement and how they are such two good indicators of your priorities in life. And we're going to talk about your health priorities. Because I talk to people all the time and they have goals to put on muscle, to burn fat, they want to improve their energy. And we say all these things, right? We have this story that we tell others, whether it's to me in conversation or you're at like a family gathering and you're talking about your goals and what you want to do. But the truth is why aren't we there? Right? And I know things take time and you can't, you can't achieve greatness overnight. I get that. I understand completely. But what we're going to do today is talk about how if you are looking at your calendar and your bank statement, that's a good indicator of where you are going to end up. You see, if I never knew anybody and they just sent me their bank statement and their calendar and I looked at it for the past 2 months, I have a good indication of how they how they spend their time, what they value, maybe what their health is like, maybe what their finances are like, because you can kind of catch trends that are going on within the calendar and the bank statement. So the point I'm trying to make is that we say we want a beautiful, healthy life, right? We want to live in no pain. We want to have vitality. We want to burn fat. We want to look good. We want to feel good, right? We want to go through life in that state. But are the actions that we're taking lining up with what we say that we want? Now, I know that the two biggest things that we vote with in life are our time and our money. So that's why I said we're going to look at our calendar and our bank statement and our credit card statement to analyze if what we say we want lines up with our daily actions. So, why does this matter? It's because if we say we want something and we're not doing the actions that are getting us closer to what we say we want, we're out of alignment, right? You can have dreams, you can write your goals down, you can have affirmations, and all of that stuff matters, right? The way that you talk to yourself, writing things down, planning things out. But what matters the most is when the rubber meets the road and we actually take the steps and the actions towards those things, right? It's like, okay, we say we want better health. We want to sleep better. We want to burn some fat. We want to build some muscle, right? We kind of know the baseline of what we have to do to get there, at least to start, right? If you've listened to this show, if you've spent any time on social media, you can Google it. We can figure out a baseline of what we need to do to move in the right direction. The problem is we don't always do that. We don't always follow through with it. We're not always consistent, and that leads us in a world of frustration, right? We're not getting closer. We feel like we're on a hamster wheel, and that's a big problem that I see because it leads to things like anxiety, depression, lack of purpose, and you just succumb to whatever happens in life. You choose the easy route, the comfortable route. You accept being average or below average. And that's not you because you're listening to this podcast. You care about living an extraordinary life. And that doesn't mean you need to vacation to India and go see the pyramids and live on a yacht. It just means you are a woman or a man of your word. Someone who has respect for themselves enough to do what they say they're going to do, to stand up for themselves, and to proceed to work towards a better version of themselves on a daily basis. So enough with the banter. Right? Enough with me rambling. The point of today, like I said, we're going to keep it short, is the calendar and the bank statement and why that matters. We can take a test and look at your calendar over the last, let's call it, month or two, right? What does your calendar actually say? What are we looking at on there? Are we scheduling workouts? Or are we skipping them? Do we have a bunch of white space for recovery, or are we constantly in go mode, just filling our time with
a bunch of nonsense that we think is making us productive, but we're just being busy, right? Do you time block to do meal prep or to rest, or is everything in your life just reactive? Now, this is a big one, the word reactive. I, years ago, found out what it was like to be proactive rather than reactive. And let me give you an example, right? One scenario is where you wake up in the morning and you snooze your alarm. And then you do another 15 minutes, you snooze it again, do another 10 minutes. And then by the time you finally get out of bed, you kind of have to rush to throw some clothes on, brush your teeth real quick. You kind of grab something quick to eat, and you're eating in the car on the way to work. Now, for the rest of that day, you're playing catch up because you're like, oh, what's next? Let me kind of like rush to prepare for it. And then you're doing that all day long until finally you get done work and you're at home and you can just kind of sit on the couch. Whereas when you wake up in the morning, let's say you have to leave by 8 o'clock in the morning. And instead of waking up at 7:30 or 7:50 for some people, you wake up at 6 o'clock or 6:30. You wake up, let's call it 6. You wake up, you get some water, you stretch a little bit, you do a little workout, you have a nice breakfast, you take a shower, you put on a nice clean outfit that, matching, and it suits your body really nice, and it looks great for what you're doing. And then you stroll out of the door with your stuff in hand, and you get in your car, and you're just kind of like getting to the next thing. That, to me, is a much better existence than the other one. Because then what that does is it allows you to be fully present with the time that you're having and get more out of that experience. So if you're someone who's always playing catch up and you show up for a workout, well, guess what you're doing? You're checking your phone for emails. You're worried about what you got to get to next. You have a call you got to make. You have a meeting in a little bit. You kind of got to skip out of the workout early compared to the person who has their day fully planned out and they know for that 1 hour or those 30 minutes, they can be fully present with their workout. They can give it their all and they can try their best and they can, understand what muscles are working and how their body's positioned and learn a little bit and maybe hit a PR on their lift, whatever it is. They're going to be better off at the activity that they're doing if they're fully present. So that's why it's so important to be proactive rather than reactive. But the big takeaway that I'm trying to get to here is if health isn't on your calendar, it's not going to happen consistently, right? You might go through the week and you found that you got done work early. So you're like, you know what, let me shoot over to the gym and you get a workout in. Or maybe you just didn't have the family dinner that you normally have on Sunday. So you're like, you know what, I'm gonna make some chicken for the week. And that kind of happens once in a while. But again, if you felt good doing that, and you're not able to schedule it properly, you're going to get anxiety. Because what happens for someone like me is let's say you got done work early, you went to the gym, you're like, man, this felt great. I want to do this more often, but you don't schedule it. Well, the next time that you're at work and you don't get done early, you're like, oh man, like I really should have went to the gym and now I don't know what to do and now I don't have time because I got to get home and I got to make dinner. And then things spiral out of control in your mind. And that's the worst thing that can happen is that you are in a state of anxiety, a state of being reactive and not being able to control your emotions. And that's when things go crazy. So what I'm saying is we need to start prioritizing what we say we want, right? Like making time on the calendar for exercise, for healthy meals, for quality time with your family, because that impacts your health. Like whatever it is that is associated with your health goal, that's got to be scheduled in so that while you're doing it, you don't have to think about anything else, right? Like right now, I scheduled in time to make this podcast. Therefore, I'm not worried about what emails are coming through. I'm not worried about anyone calling me. I'm not worried about my clients that I have later because right now I'm here with you. And when I'm with my client that's on my calendar for an hour, let's say, I'm not thinking about my next client. I'm not thinking about what I had for breakfast. I'm just there with them. And that allows me to be fully present and give all of my attention, all of my energy to what I'm doing. And trust me, it helps. Because if right now, while I was talking to you, I was trying to also respond to emails.
Hey, hope you're loving the episode so far. Thanks for spending some time with me. I got a quick favor to ask. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast because that's how I know you're getting value from the show. And this way, you never miss an episode. All right, now back to the show.
Do you know how jumbled up and crazy this podcast would sound? I'd be sitting here for an hour just trying to get a sentence out because I'm bouncing back from one thing to another, but I'm not because I'm present. So that's the calendar. The bank statement is next. Now, the test that we could do for this is to look at where your money is going. Because like I said in the beginning, we vote with two things. We vote with our time and we vote with our money, right? I know people want to talk about money isn't everything, but we need it. It's essential, right? In order to live, in order to survive, you need money. The more money that you have, the more, situations that you can put yourself in for the better, right? So if you have big health goals and you have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of that money has to be allocated and invested towards your health and your betterment, right? It's an investment, not an expense. So we have to look at, where is your money going? If we were to look at your bank statement for the last month or two, is it going to Uber Eats or is it going to clean groceries? Is it going to Netflix and other subscriptions, or is it going to supplements, things like lab tests or coaching? Is it going towards impulse buys on Amazon when you're just scrolling, or on Instagram? Or is it going into investing in your well-being, right? We can take a clean look at your credit card or bank statement and see exactly what you're spending your money on. Now, for example, my fiance Gianna and I, if you don't know her, we do a budget every month. Now, we found this budget online. It's on Excel or like Google Sheets, right? And it was a pre-made template that was fairly easy. It was color coordinated and it's visual because I'm a very visual guy. So what it allows you to do is put in all of your reoccurring expenses, things that don't change, all of your bills, right? Like your water, your electric, those things that come in every month, any type of loans that you might have, like a car or your mortgage, right? And then in the bottom section, it allows you to put in every single expense that you had, the date you did it, and the category that you created for it, whether it be gas or entertainment or groceries or household items. You create the categories. So then when you're done, there's a pie chart of where all your expenses are. And it's great because it shows you a percentage of your total of what you're spending on these certain things. Now for me, what I looked at was, I love coffee, but I was spending a little more than we had budgeted for on coffee. Now the problem is these are little expenses, right? $2, $4 there, but it adds up. And at the end of the month, it was like $75 of money spent on coffee. Now what I'm trying to get at is, when you start to look at things like this and you're like, okay, I want to improve my health. And let's say there's a Planet Fitness around the corner and it's $15 a month. Well, for me, if I look at my expenses and I say, wow, I spent $75 a month on coffee, let's do $50 a month on coffee, where I'll buy some pods online and I can make the coffee at home, and it's only $50. I drink the same amount of coffee, but now I have that extra $15 so that I can go and, well, it's really $25, but I have a spare $15 a month to go and spend it on a gym membership. And then all of a sudden, now you don't have an excuse. You freed up that money by making one small adjustment on your bank statement, on your budget, and now you have that extra money to spend on the gym. And let's say you keep doing that and you're like, you know what? I've been Uber eating a lot, right? I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. I've been doing Uber Eats a lot. And I've met people who have spent hundreds of dollars a month on Uber Eats. And then you're like, you know what? No, because I want to start buying organic food because I learned that it's so much better for me, and let's do it. So instead of doing that, now you're going to the grocery store and buying fresh peppers and fruits and vegetables and cleaning them up and eating them at home and cooking at home. So now not only are you eating cleaner, but you're spending less money because you're not ordering it from Uber Eats, right? You can see where this is going. So my point is, I'm not saying you have to go budget, but I would recommend it. It's super simple. It takes a couple minutes, whether you do it once a week, once a month, once a day. I don't really care. I think once a week helps because it's not so overwhelming. It takes a couple minutes and you just keep up with yourself, right? You're doing it once a week. You're seeing where your money's coming and going, and then you're able to allocate what you're investing your money in. So if I go onto your bank statement and all I'm seeing is Starbucks, Wawa, going out to eat, buying alcohol, now that's a big one. When you start the budget, if you're someone who goes out on the weekends or buys drinks, I mean, one drink costs like $9 to $10. If you're getting a cocktail, it's like 15 to 20. You have a couple of those on a Saturday night and you're like, wow, okay, I can see where I'm out of alignment, right? I say I want all these things, but I just spent $200 at the bar, and that's a membership to the gym, a couple good supplements, and some healthy food right there. in my budget, right? That I could clear up. I'm not saying you never can go out again, but if you minimize how much you go out, or you only have one drink, like you make an adjustment because you're looking at it. That's the whole point here, guys, is that we need the truth. If we say we want something and we're not there yet, there's a discrepancy in what's going on. So you don't have to tell this to anyone. What I would suggest, though, is if you're married or you have a close, intimate partner, that you sit down with them and you go through your calendar and you go through your budget and you say, okay, where should we be allocating our money based on what we want? If we say we want better health, what is out there? How much does it cost? Maybe you do the math. You figure out, okay, there's this gym that I really want to go to. This is how much that costs a month. This is how much groceries would cost if we were buying organic, good, whole foods. And this is how much some supplements that would cost, or this is how much a coach costs. You figure that out. You figure out where your budget is now and what you can make a step on. You don't have to do all of it. Maybe you're just able to start buying better groceries. Boom. Maybe you're just able to start with the gym membership. That's fine. But you have to make a step and you have to know where you're at. So if you're someone who now has a calendar that is booked, right? And I'm not saying booked with nonsense. I'm saying booked with priorities. You know, you got your time with your family. You scheduled that in. You got your time for your exercise, time to work. You got your time to relax. You're scheduling it in because when you do that, you're able to then be present and flow through life in a proactive way, and you're responding to life rather than reacting, and you're all anxious and you can't figure out what's going on next, right? So that's the first step, is getting that calendar in order. And then you start to sit down with your loved one or your spouse, or even by yourself if you're single or whatever it is, and you get really clear on where your money's going right now, adjust where you'd like it to go, you make a budget, and then you make those steps, and then all of a sudden you're in alignment. We can't hide from the truth, and the bank statement and the calendar are two of the biggest truth tellers of what you're really doing. You know what I mean? Like we can paint this picture, or we can tell this story to social media all day long of, you know, we have these goals in my life and this and that. You can go make posts about all the glorious things. But when it comes down to it, if you're not happy inside, you can look at those two things and be sure they're going to tell you the truth, right? So big thing is, what do I say that I want? Get really clear on your vision. What are your goals? Get very, in depth on what that looks like. And then, does my calendar reflect that? And does my spending align with that? Make the adjustments accordingly. So what I would say is, like I said, audit your last 7 days, your last month. If you want to go even further, maybe the last 2 months, right? Because things compound. The actions you took 90 days ago you're now reaping the results of those today. So go back the last couple weeks or months, audit your calendar, audit your bank statement, your credit card statement, and let's see what's one thing that you can do, right? Can we get rid of that subscription that you never use and start buying better groceries? Can you limit your Uber Eats and get that gym membership that you've always wanted? Can we start to plan out time on our calendar for recovery, for exercise, for time with your family, things that are going to actually improve your health, and put them on the calendar and act as if it's an appointment at the doctor's, right? You're not just going to skip out on that because it's on your calendar, right? So put it on there, make it a priority, and start taking yourself a little bit more seriously. And when you need a gut check, go back to your credit card and your calendar. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, share it with a friend. Let someone know about this, because they then too can benefit from this message. And if you have any questions or you're able to get any results from this, DM me on Instagram, on Facebook, leave a comment in here, because I'd love to hear from you and if this is actually making an impact in your life. Guys, I will see you next week.
Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show, or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.